Hello from Amsterdam. We're still at the Morningstar Sustainable Investing Summit 2024, and I'm now joined by Amy Rose, the Director of Litigation at Client Earth. That is a legal NGO that takes corporates to task over failures in mitigating emissions, which is, of course, a niche field of litigation, Amy. And my first question to you would be, there aren't many of you, and there sure are many companies whose actions aren't in line with 1.5 degrees of global warming. How do you pick your battles?
Yes, actually, it's there's a lot of opportunity out there, and there is just a few organizations doing what we're doing. So we actually have a fairly comprehensive global impact strategy that we use to guide our decision making and our prioritization. We focus on 4 key areas where we want to drive change around driving environmental rights and rule of law, around transforming the financial and economic system to support the climate transition, and then we work on energy and mobility and on the our food systems, food, oceans, and land use. And then within those structures, when we look at who we want to target or the companies or the jurisdictions we want to be most active with, we're always looking to leverage the most systemic impact that we can with any individual intervention. So setting a new precedent in a jurisdiction that's going to be favorable, or opening up an opportunity where we know that a precedent we might set could lead to plaintiffs' firms or other NGOs being able to follow in our footstep and really bring more of the same types of litigation. So we're always looking for replicability, friendly jurisdictions, friendly law, the costs of the litigation. And then in terms of the targets themselves, we really want to target the actors that are not taking the risk seriously, that are not taking any action, to try to push them forward into at least beginning to address the risk of climate change and the need to deal with it seriously and proactively in their corporate governance and in their corporate decision making.
So friendly jurisdictions are one factor. Are you expecting the US to become a much less friendly jurisdiction in the years ahead?
I think that there's a risk that could happen. I mean, obviously, we've seen particularly at the federal level, you have seen historically, and you will see more of a conservative entrenchment in that court. The issue with environmental and climate litigation, however, is that it's not necessarily a purely partisan or political issue. I mean, conservatives care about having a livable environment too, and so there are interventions that we can bring, and there are ways and strategies that we can adopt to make it less partisan and to make it more about what we all care about, which is a livable environment. And some of our U.S. litigation, already does this very carefully, working with rural landowners who are impacted by uncapped oil wells on their property. And that's not a right or a left issue. That's an everybody issue.
Kunal also touched on this earlier today, right? The materiality of it all. How do you define mitigating climate change as a fiduciary duty, when I'm guessing not every investor will still be invested when the bill comes due, right? When climate change might start affecting the bottom line.
Yeah, so I mean, again, this gets into the whole concept of short-termism versus long-termism. When we're talking about a fiduciary duty, it's a fiduciary duty to the company and to the sustainability of the company and its ability to remain profitable and relevant over time. So it's not necessarily about the materiality to the individual investor, but to the company and the entity itself, and the longevity and profitability of the entity itself. So it's kind of two different horizons, 2 different timeframes, definitely. But when we look at what companies are doing, we're asking them to take the longer view of the sustainability of their organization over the long run, as opposed to looking at, next quarter's returns.
Well, the long view is what we're all about at Morningstar as well. That was great. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
For Morningstar, I'm Lucas Strobel.